In the Pits is partnered with Compete. Compete is a Texas-based brand by Jell Stewart of professional team AC Diesel that provides custom jerseys, pants, headbands, straps, tech shirts, and any other soft goods to help individuals and teams compete at the highest level. Support Texas Paintball and message Compete on Facebook or Instagram and mention In the Pits Podcast for 10% off your entire order. In the Pits is partnered with Paintball Kumite. Paintball Kumite is a program designed by Colt Roberts of professional team San Antonio X Factor to take paintball players of all ages, experience levels, and skill groups and mold them into champions. The program breaks the game down into small, easy-to-learn sessions designed to help you master the fundamentals so that you can elevate your game. Newcomers to the program get a free 1-hour introductory class when mentioning In the Pits. To sign up for a class, message at Paintball Kumite on Instagram. In the Pits is partnered with Get Dat Shot. Get Dat Shot now offers first-in-line photo and video editing, 20% off Get Dat Shot merch, and 20% off prints to all teams that wear the Get Dat Shot logo on their jersey. Message GetDat_shot on Facebook or Instagram to become a Get Dat Shot program team. Welcome everyone to episode 16 of In the Pits Paintball Podcast. This podcast is focused on everything that has to do with the paintball scene here in Texas, from professional players and teams to new divisional programs, local tournament series, field owners, Texas-based brands, even photographers and videographers. Every week we will have a short and sweet episode with a new topic and special guest. I'm Christian Smith. I'm a player for the Texas Titans, and this episode we are going in the pits with Brian Wolfe. He's the man behind the camera for Verbhal. Brian, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. Doing really good.
Hell yeah, man. Good to have you on the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, this celebrity here online. I every time, I was posting all the episodes this week and like the schedule for the month, just every time that Brian would share it from his Verbal page, it was like, your post got shared by this account with like over 100,000 followers or whatever. And I'm like, jeez.
They let you know.
Yeah, I know. So, Brian, for those listening that maybe don't know about you, how long have you been involved in the Texas paintball scene?
So for the Texas paintball scene, I'm honestly very, very new to it. It's been about 4 years. I think I started playing again in 2018. As paintball goes, we take some breaks and that's kind of how it goes. So I started playing in Virginia in like 1995. So, on and off through the years. And then I think we played at a birthday party. We played some 50 cal. And I just got the itch again. And I was like, okay, well, hang on. Let me go out and see what's going on. And luckily, I think NXL was actually at the Motor Speedway like the next weekend or something. So I was like, okay, let's just go, see what's going on at NXL and all that. So I went out there and just got fully bit by the bug again and came back. But yeah, so super new to Texas paintball, but we've been going pretty strong since we've been here. So
well, it's good to have you back, and you've definitely made a huge impact on the scene in the last 4 years. So you said you started playing again in, you said 2018. So
Yep.
have you played competitively with any teams?
So when I came back, I played with PPS SFO. They're based out of Fun on the Run. So I went and played walk-ons at Fun on the Run, and that's just where I was playing at. So I naturally progressed to say, oh well, they're having tryouts, let's go try out there. And so yeah, I played a couple tournaments with them, and then I picked up the camera.
Sweet. So you pretty much just with PPS SFO. Did you have any other teams that you played with competitively, like kind of before you took your long break?
No, always, just never had joined a tournament team before. Like I said, played on and off all over Florida, Colorado, Virginia. So kind of all over. But then in 2018 was the first time I actually joined a team and decided, let's do this thing.
Oh man, are you still playing events with them, or are you pretty much just solely behind the camera these days?
So now I love mechanical paintball. So like Paintball Fit has Mech X Ball now, which is really cool. I've played a couple of those. Um, what else? I played a scenario this last weekend, so that that was just for fun. But yeah, I get out there and I play. Play a couple scenarios a year. I love them, and the mechanical stuff. 10-man is very tempting, right? 10-man mechanical. That's get me interested, but we'll see. I don't know. I'll be ranked D5 again next year, so we'll see. Maybe we'll get it going.
Well, enjoy that D5 ranking while you can, as I'm sure you're very well aware of.
Right. Yeah, I'll be D5, but I get the 40-year-old bonus next year, to the decay of points. So.
Oh, nice. That's a very coveted status right there. So,
Right,
Brian, tell me more about the name Verbal.
Okay, so Verbal is based on Verbal Kint, which is from the movie The Usual Suspects. It's a Kevin Spacey movie. If you haven't seen it, I recommend going and watching it. And I put the H in there so I could get my name pretty much in any game, right? Because coming up, I was like playing games, but it was actually my AIM name back in the day. My AOL Instant Messenger name was Verbal with an H, and I just kind of used that name, throughout. And I was like, oh, I can get my name on everything. It's short, although I do have to explain. It's Verbal with an H, and then people are like, wait, what? So I say Verbhal. But I mean, I've always introduced myself as Brian with an I and then Wolf with an E. So why wouldn't we have Verbal with an H,
Perfect. So kind of with that name Verbal, I guess, like, why, have you ever thought about changing it to something more, I guess, paintball related or recognizable, or has it always just been you?
Yeah, it's just been the brand I've built for a while now. So like on Twitch, I'm partnered, and that's my username on Twitch as well. So yeah, I've just stuck with it. It's worked out pretty good, and I kind of dominated. I need to change Facebook to be just Verbal, but other than that, we have it on every platform.
Cool. Yeah, and you've definitely been blowing up lately, especially. So, Brian, how did you get your start in photography?
So this actually goes back to Twitch. So I got partnered with Twitch in 2016 playing Pokemon Go.
Nice.
So it was so hard to stream Pokemon Go. There's a number, like the barrier to entry was like super high, because first of all you needed unlimited data. So I had a hotspot that I got off eBay, and so I was using like 13 gigs of data a day off this hotspot, and I was like, dude, they're gonna shut it down at some point. But so I had that, and then I had like a tablet, and I had a selfie stick that had a tablet and then a cell phone on top. And so on top, I was Skyping myself, and I would control the Skype with my other phone. I'd control the computer at home, so I'd call myself on Skype, and then it would broadcast my video, and then it captured the gameplay, and that was going back to my computer as well. So I'd control the whole stream through my phone, which was pretty sketchy, but we made it work. So there's a place here in Allen, Texas, that I'd go and play Pokemon Go, and we'd have there's 4 Pokestops. You could sit in your car, and you could lure them all up, and you could sit there and spin them. So if it was real hot, I could just sit in the car with the AC rolling. But if it wasn't hot, you could walk around and hit like a dozen different stops. So this got me a lot of like technical knowledge of all these different things. But so when I kind of finished streaming Pokemon Go, I would sit at home, and I wanted better webcam quality. So I bought like a Canon 70D, and I set that up. I think I actually had that even before I started the Pogo thing, but it really got going afterwards, because I was like, well, let me take this camera and take a photo of my dog. So that's what it started with. I was like, let me just see. I have this camera sitting here. Let's see if we can take a good photo. And I was like, okay, that's not too bad. And then the brother-in-law was playing like 3rd grade basketball, so I was like, okay, let's start with the youth sports. So I started doing that, and I kept learning, and I kept going to YouTube, and I kept looking like, all right, how do I do this? How do I do this? And yeah, so that's how it got going. Is I just wanted better webcam quality on my live stream.
So are you team Valor, Mystic, or Instinct?
I was Valor. I like red. Is red's my
Oh
favorite color. So we got red, 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 red.
man,
Yep.
so my wife is Mystic and I'm Instinct. So you could have picked either
all
one of those, but
all represented it
all
presently.
right.
Yeah. So I was actually the first max level. Level 40 was the max level when it came out. They've since raised it, but I was the first level 40 on Twitch. There was a couple of us streaming it pretty hardcore. Even Summit had streamed it a little bit. But top 100 in the world level 40s, which was pretty cool. I hit it like right after Thanksgiving. So the game came out in July, and then right after Thanksgiving, I hit level 40, and it was a big celebration.
Pokemon Go was definitely very hot at that time. I do remember Summit. I remember him getting like swatted while he was doing it.
Right. Yeah. That I was always so scared of that. Like I was always, because like people know where you are. Like you
Mhm.
can figure it out. Like it doesn't take a rocket scientist. I would never say like specifically where I was, but you could figure out in a heartbeat where I was. So I never had any issues. But I had a friend, Pope Dave, who would stream out in Santa Monica, and he had a homeless dude just run by him, punch him, and take
Goodness.
off, and it's just a whole ordeal.
Jeez, I can't imagine just like you have all of that equipment to manage and so many things can go wrong like in
Right.
any one of those things and then it's just like, "Oh, you've finally done all of it." And then just some idiot tries to come and ruin it all for you.
Yeah, right. And the thing about Skype is Skype calls would only keep video on for 4 hours. So if I stayed on for longer than 4 hours, I'd have to recall myself from my phone, controlling my
Mm.
computer at home, which was just the biggest, ordeal. But I don't know, it was worth it. We were doing pretty good. We're, hundreds of viewers, and yeah, it was rocking. It was good times.
Oh yeah. So, what made you transition from that to shooting for paintball photography?
Okay, so I got, after doing that, I started to, once I started taking photos, I got really into it. I was like, okay, I like this a lot. So I would start doing sports photos, whatever sport I could shoot, I would go out and I'd try to shoot it. Um, and then after starting to play paintball again, playing tournament paintball, I was like, all right, well, let's see what I can do. And I went out there and they were pretty good. Like from the start, they were all pretty nice quality photos, and we just ran from there. Like
Cool.
if you
And
go to my sorry about that. If you go to my my Facebook page, like the little it's our friend Curtis diving, like that's from the first tournament I shot, and that is a banger.
wow. Oh, you must have gotten a lot of practice and gotten a lot of things figured out before then.
Yeah, yeah. Because like I said, the brother-in-law was playing basketball, so I'd shoot him through the years. I just looked for more basketball. Bring the camera, wherever I went, and just kept shooting.
Cool. So, kind of speaking of basketball, you don't just shoot for paintball. Like you also post reels and highlights from the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA and also their G League affiliate team, the Texas Legends. So, are you also a professional photographer for the Mavericks?
No. I just bring the camera in. I learned the longest lens that you could bring in. It's about the size of a credit card. So I found the best lens I could in that that was that long. And so just you get good tickets, and that's how I was able to get Maverick stuff. But like the G League teams, they're pretty you can put in a media request and they'll let you in. WNBA as well. So I just kept, just put in for media passes, and you get a lot of no's, but they'll start, they started to let me in. The Mavs did have some positions available this year, photographer and assistant photographer and a videographer, but it just wasn't in the cards. So
Mm. Gotcha. Do you find that you get a lot of like traction and popularity on those highlights, like from basketball fans at all, or is it pretty much just all paintball?
nope, no. The brand is all based on paintball. I always get sad that the basketball ones don't do as well, but
Mm.
that's fine. I still love it. Like I'm gonna post what I really like, no matter what, I'm not gonna stop doing that. I'm gonna keep posting that. Like I've been doing a lot of high school football recently. I do the Allen Eagles games out here, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's a high school, but they have a 17,000 person stadium.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's the top. That's where Kyler Murray went.
Hmm.
So yeah, I put out a football or a highlight video each week for Allen as well.
Very cool. Is that just kind of like a volunteer thing, or how did that work out exactly?
Yep. That's just I'm just doing that for the love of the game. It's great though because it keeps me on it, like keeps me editing videos. So I don't really edit a lot of videos.
Hmm.
You know, most of my stuff is short form content. So this keeps me learning and trying to make better, longer videos and such. So it's been pretty good. I their quarterback, Mike Hawkins Jr. I do stuff for him though, and so I got to go to like Texas A&M, LSU, tour all the facilities, and then he did camps there this summer, and that was just incredible. Like those trips, those facilities are just unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I live here in Austin, and there's definitely a lot of that, especially in the high schools. I mean, I'm sure you're aware, like just so much money in high school football in Texas, especially in Austin.
Right.
Like,
Yes. There's some powerhouses down there for sure.
Oh yeah. Yep, and they've even got like their own like radio segments dedicated to just local high school football players. It's really cool to see.
Right, and we'll see where it goes. The NIL stuff's getting pretty crazy. So so Mike's a junior right now, so we'll see where it goes when he goes to college.
Yep. Money in college sports it's really cool to see, but like money in high school sports is a little bit like that's kind of like the next step, I guess, and it's a little worrying.
They can do it in other places, not in Texas currently, but in like I don't know what states it is. But so like Quinn Ewers, who went to South Lake Carroll, and he left for his senior season. He went to Ohio State because he could make money in Ohio, but he couldn't in Texas. So that's why he left early, was so that he could start getting deals. And I don't know, he made a couple million doing that before going to Texas. So
that's just like I can't imagine being 17 years old and moving across the country so I can get a multi-million-dollar media deals. And what a
exactly,
world.
It's pretty wild, yeah.
But hey, good on him to know his worth for sure.
Right.
All right. So, Brian, you have become, especially, in the last year or two, you've become one of the most popular paintball media personalities, and you're constantly putting out reels and highlight clips and stills of multiple different like top level teams from the best pro squads. I think your most recent reel that you posted was of Houston Heat. And then, it goes all the way down to like local D5 teams here at USXBL. So what are some things that you've done to build your following online?
So the biggest thing is consistency. You just keep posting. I've learned it's a numbers game. The more you post, the more chances you have to go viral, and that's how it goes. So I've been posting 4 times a day recently. I think I'm gonna up that, maybe add a 5th in there. And time, I don't know. I always had a time, like I tried to do one at 10 a.m. and then like 2 p.m. and then 5 p.m. and then something later like 7. But I think moving forward we'll go like 10, noon, 2, 4, and 6, and just schedule it out so it all goes out there. But that's what I've learned is the biggest thing is consistency. Also, it's kind of frustrating because some of the best clips are just people dumping paint on the ground. That's what I joke about, is I've made a career of people dumping paint, and those videos, people dumping paint, will always outperform even the coolest clip. Like at the last NXL, we had Boyum and JC. They got into that exchange, and they're just wailing on each other. And I posted that one, and that did okay. That got like 400,000 views. But then I posted Mouse dumping a pod on the ground, and that's like millions of views. And I'm just like, it's just so frustrating. But if it works, I'll just keep posting people dumping paint on the ground, or it's good filler content until you get the really good stuff. So yeah, consistency is the most important thing when trying to grow on any of these socials.
Yeah, one of my teammates in the chat, Ashtray, it's Mike Lundgren, who's on the Titans with me as well. He says the comments on those videos are always the best. Yeah, it's all it. I
Right.
have so much fun trolling all of those like non-paintball people. They're just like they're wasting so much ammo.
Right.
Like,
And that's why they do well, is because it gets emotional, and like the comments are hilarious. People get
mhm.
angry about it, or they're just like, my OCD is kicking in, I can't, or I'd be picking up paintballs off the ground, or who knows what. But yeah, those videos are undefeated. It's super frustrating because I have one of Jacob Edwards at the Dallas, which they actually won.
Mhm.
And on Facebook, I think that had 71 million views when I looked today, which I didn't
Jeez.
even know it had gone that crazy. I was like, oh my goodness, like that's whoa. And it's like a really boring clip. But for some reason the algorithm caught it, and it went.
Well, uh, I'd be really curious to like see if anybody can crack the code on how the algorithm works, if it's like timing or who, certain keywords or what. But it's just
Right,
like it's
right.
crazy to me that some of these like mundane clips just like pop off, and then like the best stuff, which is like, for people like inside the scene, they know and appreciate it, but like no one else cares, it seems like.
That's exactly how it goes. But I've actually kind of tricked the algorithm, because I've posted so many. Well, all of us has posted so many bad reloads because we've been taught that they do well. So now when you post like a really good clean reload, like they'll freak out. Like, so we have them now because they'll just be
Mhm.
like, "Oh my gosh, he did it!" Like, so I posted one of Alex Frazee recently, and he missed one ball, and people were just like, "Oh my god!" So it's great. So now I can get good reloads too, and both of them will do well.
Hell yeah, you can't lose if you play both sides, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Cool. So, kind of, you said like most of your stuff is like short format. So, have you found that that short format gets you more views than like if you post like longer videos or even like GIFs or stills or like something edited with like music in the background? So, like, what format is it that you find gets you the most views?
So it seems the short clips, the reels, the highlight clips with just the natural audio, so I guess more raw,
Mhm.
that performs the best and is also the easiest to make, because I had started and I was doing all photos, right? So that was my gimmick. I did all photos, but I would take them and turn them into videos, and they looked really cool. But they also take a long time to make. You didn't have audio, so I'd have to find a song for every clip, which I spent a lot of time looking for songs when I was doing it that way. And that you'd always find, the song that went perfectly, but man, it was a lot. So I switched to video this summer or spring, I would guess. The quarterback for Allen, he wanted video, and I was like, okay, I think I know enough to be able to do this. So let's give it a shot. So I went out and I filmed him doing a workout, and it wasn't great. It was pretty good, but I couldn't see, like, I couldn't track the ball with a tiny little camera monitor.
Mhm.
So I went out and bought, an external monitor that you put on it, and that helped a lot. And then at that point, I just went, full in video. But I had saw that, the short videos was the way to go, and I could save a lot of time. I wouldn't have to find songs, but that's it's unfortunate because you think, like, you want to make like a long, nice edit. You put a ton of work into it, and you think, oh yeah, this is gonna be the one, and then it just bombs, and you're like, man, I should just be making short clips. So it's a little frustrating there, but it works. So I'm not gonna mess with it.
Yeah, it makes me sad because like some of those longer like full length 20-minute, let's say like film a whole match or something like that, and you get, you work on getting different angles and overlaying like the score, the time or whatever, like that takes a ton of work. Like
Right.
even like I just kind of film our own practices, and even that like just kind of going and then cutting out the dead time and then overlaying scores and time and whatnot. Like if I put up a camera in the tower for one of our USXBL events, like took such a long time. And so I can't imagine like, and that's just me like basically cutting out the dead time, overlaying it, and then done. Like that's not like touching up anything, adjusting any lighting or anything like that.
Right.
So it's a shame that like some of those longer videos, they only get like a few thousand views when it's like, hey, you're really getting a big picture here.
Right. Or I mean, think of like the classic paintball movies too, right? You know, Push and all those. Like it'd be awesome to make one of those, but it just the time spent versus what I could be doing otherwise, it's kind of a bummer, but
Mm.
I don't know. It's just the culture we're in. You know, you look at Sports Center and House of Highlights and Overtime and like all these accounts that just have people submit stuff. It's just all highlight clips. That you know, that's kind of the attention span now too. Is people just want to watch. You know, it's the TikTokification of media pretty much.
I mean, I see it firsthand. So I'm an elementary school teacher and I teach music. So I see kids pre-K all the way up to 5th grade, and I definitely notice the effects. Like
Right.
you can't hold anyone's attention longer than probably 4 minutes. That's
Right.
and that's if you're lucky.
Right.
So,
Right.
goodness.
Absolutely.
So everybody in the chat, I see we've got a couple of viewers here live. Welcome. If you have something that you want to ask Brian, go ahead and type your questions in the chat and we will get to it towards the end. So Brian, what has been your favorite single moment that you've captured on camera?
See, that's a tough one. Recently, it's been when Dynasty wins, Archie will come up to the camera and give me a one. I really like those moments, and I was like, "Hey, it happened again." You know, I was like, "Oh, wow, look at that." You know, he keeps winning, so I like that one. But then recently, I got a pretty sweet 1v1 that Archie was in, but Nick Sloviak hit him with the one ball. They're both like super low on paint. It had been going on forever, and I just had a really good angle. I just kind of crept behind Nick. I was like, "All right, let's just keep sliding over a little bit." And that is one of the cooler moments because man, I have minutes of them snapping, and then finally, you know, I just made a quick little clip at the end. But that one was really cool. So
Those are some big moments too. Like I would have thought that maybe the standoff that happened in Chicago would have been up there, but
gosh darn, that standoff. I was in a terrible position because I was on Snake side and it was on the D side. And so we saw it started to happen, and then there's just paint just flying over the top of the bunker, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I like grabbed my monopod and I'm like moving over trying to get an angle, and I got in and they were still going, and so I got in there at the end and I got a little bit, but I was pretty sad that I hadn't got the whole thing. But so that's one big thing with paintball media is usually 50% of the time you're on the wrong side. Right, so you're on Snake side and something will happen on Dorito side. So a lot of Dorito players do get sad though because they say they get less media and such, Marcelo. But a big thing is that Snake side it's lower, right? So you can see so much more, and you can still see across if something crazy like that happens, or if there's action over there. So you can still shoot across without being blocked out as much. But I do think we need to get rid of some bunkers. There's too many bunkers out there in general. A lot of big bunkers, and I don't know. One day we need to sit down, me and some other media guys, and kind of build like the perfect media layout, right? Like what that gives us good angles. It gives you nice breakout angles, like into the snake, just different stuff like that. So we need to figure that out. One just to see what we can come up with. I don't know how good it'll be, but
be interesting.
Give it a crack.
Yeah, along those lines, what are your thoughts on this upcoming USXBL layout? It's definitely ticks a lot of those boxes you were talking about. A lot of stuff, it kind of vacated the center for the most part, moved all the big bunkers to the side.
Right. Well, as a center, as a 3 normally, that makes me pretty sad. I was like, what in the world? I'd just be running to that brick on the D side or something. But yeah, we'll see. I shot it last night. We did some Nightball last night, so I was doing some shooting on that. But Nightball's its own thing. It kind of gets a little crazy out there, right? And people are out there having fun, and it's all levels of play. So I'm curious because I didn't make it to any practice weekends, so I didn't get to see too much. So we'll see. it seems like it'll be a lot of get to your primary and shoot a lot of paint. But if that's the case, then we'll just, shoot reloads, and we'll have lots of reloads to post, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, that's gonna be your payday right there.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, if it's all reloads, that's fine. Like I said, they perform the best. And that's another thing I've learned, though, which is pretty crazy. So level of player, like a lot of people think, oh, you only need to shoot pro, right? Like that's what you want to shoot. That's the best content.
They clearly
But it
haven't seen
doesn't.
any D5 matches then.
Exactly. So D5 has a lot of funny stuff happen, which does very good. So funny stuff always beats serious stuff too, right? Like, so you get a funny clip that will always just destroy, no matter what. That does well. That's up there with reloads. So it doesn't matter what level you shoot. You can get the best stuff at D5. Like, so just get out there and shoot. That's like one big thing, is you just want to just keep shooting and don't worry about what level it is. You'll come home with something nice. Yeah, if you're, just keep it rolling.
Sweet. Kind of along those lines, question in the chat. Let's see. How well do the bunkering videos do?
They do okay. Not as good as I like, because they're far and few between. I wish they did better. Some of them do pretty good. I don't know. I posted one of Archie getting bunkered at in Chicago on Sunday in the rain, and I don't even know if that one did well.
That was against Level, right?
Yeah, it was against Level, and I couldn't even see. I just had the camera pointed at Archie, and I knew he was in focus, and my whole mask was all fogged up, and all of a sudden this guy just comes out of nowhere, and I was so surprised. I was like, oh my gosh, where the heck did he come from? But I don't know, it did okay, but nothing like a reload video, unfortunately. You would think that bunkerings would be, top tier content, but unfortunately not.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, there's gonna be plenty of those pod dumps this weekend, so
Yep.
Should be a good weekend for you.
Yeah.
So kind of along those lines, I mean, we talked about just now, like, do you want to be shooting D5? Do you want to be shooting pro? Like, do you have a favorite team or I guess a favorite division to shoot for?
That's a tough one. I don't know. Like Houston Heat always does really good. So I like to shoot them a lot, because Yaya will tear up the middle, or, Chad George is just a freak athlete. So, and Fedorov, Fedorov does Fedorov things, which no one else really does. So they're definitely at the top. Locally, I don't know. I mean, I always like to shoot Paintball Fit. They always do pretty good. They like to roast Colt, so that always helps. Yeah, that I hadn't really come up with, like, who do I love to shoot for, but that's the thing. Like, at this point, it's just whoever will give me good stuff, and I try to find that. I'm just like, all right, well, who do I know it will full send or just dumps paint, just can't hit a reload to save their life. So
Seems like D5 is usually good for a core sample or two a weekend as well.
right. Core samples do really good too. Core I had one of Aaron from Shut Up, and he dove in. Or no, not Aaron of Shut Up. Of Jared from Tribe, and he dove in and broke his barrel and was trying to unscrew it, got it off finally, and that one did pretty good. So core samples are definitely top tier content as well.
So how would you, I guess, rank in terms of like popularity overall? Like how would you rank each type of content? So like, pod dumps at the top, and then like bunkerings and core samples, or standoffs if you happen to get them, or maybe like breakouts.
So it seems to be reloads, and then I would say core samples are definitely up there. People getting overshot does really good too. Like if someone's just getting like wailed on, like those are probably second. That's probably second after reloads. Just someone just getting absolutely just blasted. That does very good. So reloads, people getting blasted, core sample, standoff, bunkering, normal moves. I just don't shoot a lot of breakouts. It's just the position, right? Like, so you'll have to move down the field pretty quick. I need to work on that, but yeah, I'm just like breakouts, like, because I'd rather be positioned a couple bunkers up in the snake, waiting for you to run into the snake and get that dive, as opposed to the whole squad just breaking out wherever they're going.
Right. Have you ever done like a Houston Heat 10-second point?
Yeah, I got a couple of those. I posted one recently of Yaya running down, and that was a really good one. Those are always really fun. So for those, I know, like, I'll know when they're going to go for it. So I'll just go down to the other side of the field, and then I'll just film and have them coming at me. That's what I've learned with those quick points is you want to be where they're going, and then you'll get them flying over the bunker or whatever, trying to hit the buzzer and stuff like that. So yeah, those are good ones too.
Well, yeah, that's definitely not how I would imagine like the tier list of that at all. I would imagine that
Right.
probably core samples at the top still, and then people getting overshot, but definitely not pod dumps.
Right. Yeah.
So, what camera setup are you running on the field currently?
Okay. So currently I'm using a Sony FX3, which is primarily a video camera. And then I use a 35 to 150 millimeter lens, which is different. Most photographers out there and videographers are using a 70 to 200. So going to 35 is I can zoom out a lot more. And with the 150, I can still get the action that's going on in the middle or across the field. So when I get crazy stuff happening in the snake, though, I can zoom way out and still get most of the action. And I've been really, really, really enjoying this setup. So then I usually carry in a holster. I have a camera that I'll carry for stills for like pit photos and stuff, which I need to pull out more and use it because so you just get going, you get in the groove, and you forget to pull out the pit camera. But that's what I've been rocking recently. When I was doing photos, I would do two cameras. I'd have the 70 to 200 on the Sony A1, and then have another A1 with like a 24 to 70, or like a 50 millimeter prime lens. But always multiple cameras. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know when I had Carlos on back, goodness, almost 3 months ago now, he was always using that Sony A1 as well. I know that he said that you kind of taught him a lot of the tricks and the things that he uses now. But so it sounds like at least recently you've kind of transitioned away from kind of using like the really high speed stills camera and switch over to just shooting video.
Yep. I just use pure video camera right now. It's the way to go. I would use the Sony A1, and Carlos and I were talking about this, but it just overheats so fast. So when you're trying to shoot the slow mo with it, like, you can't. Here in Texas, it doesn't work. So my camera now has a dedicated fan in it, which makes all the difference, and I'm able to stay out there. No matter how hot it gets, I can stay out there. And I overheated it once this summer, but that's it, which is pretty impressive. When it's 105 out there and you're standing on the
Right.
turf, so it's like 100 and who knows what. So
And yeah, I wouldn't even think about overheating. Uh, yeah, that's a lot of things that you have to think about on top of like, getting the angles and just kind of protecting yourself, or just kind of, paying the price for getting the shot. So besides like the cameras, the bodies, and the lenses, like what other things do you do to protect yourself and your equipment?
So I do more. A lot of guys run out there with like nothing on the camera, and I'm just like, no, that's not the way. So when I was doing photos, I'd have a rain cover. I had a Think Tank hydrophobia, which was a pretty good rain cover. So I was able to control everything, all the settings. I knew everything without looking. I knew where the buttons were. Just practice, which is when you're doing photography or videography, it's something you want to be so familiar with your camera that it's just an extension. So I highly recommend that, even if you're not using a cover, you should be able to press all the buttons and hit what you're looking for without looking. So now I take 2 towels. I have 2 like microfiber towels, and I just put them over the camera, and I have clips and I have little bongo ties, and it's just to stop the paint spraying on them. And if it
Mhm.
gets shot, that's fine too. It'll eat the hits. And I do have expensive rain cover, which I used in Chicago, which paid off big time. I mean, when I say like $300 rain cover for a camera, but
Jeez.
if you think about how much the gear is underneath, that's a small investment as opposed to replacing all of it.
Mhm.
And it worked great. I was shocked, like because it was in Chicago, it was coming down. Like it was, you could hear it just hitting the rain cover in some of my videos, and it's just like it was so loud, but it paid off big time. So I like to protect my gear. A lot of people will just run out there naked, and I get so nervous. I'm like, nah.
Yeah, that's a big investment. I know Carlos was telling me that he was trying to get a new lens, and I think he actually just bought it recently. But he was saying it was like a
Yep,
$2,000 plus lens, and I was like, "Geez,
yep.
that's like just the lens. It's not including the body or anything else."
Right, right. So glass is super important. That's one thing is you pay for these lenses, and I used to just run the lens naked, but now I put UV filters on. But I found good ones. You have to buy good ones because if you don't, it'll just shoot through, and then it'll break the glass, and then the
And then the
glass will
glass shards,
scratch
yeah.
up your lens. Yep. So you have to buy high quality ones, and they're out there. I use Polar Pro. Polar Pro makes a great UV filter, super thick. And then I do have another tip: is a lot of people go out there with the lens hoods on the camera, but I buy these little rubber ones, which I learned about in basketball. So you screw those in, and then you screw the UV on there, and then essentially you could have a couple of those sitting around. And if you get hit in the lens, you just unscrew that one and put that whole thing back on. But it keeps paint from getting in the threads, and it doesn't break off because I had a lens break at World Cup last year, and so I was just walking, and I went to go take a photo, and everything was black, and I was like, "What the heck happened?" And then I looked, and then my cover was still attached to the lens hood, the plastic lens hood, but it had fully broken off. And so the cover was in front of it. And I was like, oh my gosh. So those things are really fragile. And I sent the lens into Sony for repairs, and they said it was uneconomical to repair it. So they're like, all right, well, this thing's totaled. And I was like, what? So the lens still worked pretty good though. So I gave it to a friend. I gave it to Dylan for him to use, and it works great. There's no, you can't put a lens hood on it anymore, or a lens cap for that matter. But there's some rubber ones you can place over them. So that's like a big thing. I see everyone out there with their lens hoods on there, and I'm just like, no, no, it's gonna break. That no matter what, those will break. If those get shot, those are breaking off.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, you gotta protect yourself, protect your gear for sure. So Brian, we talked about kind of like your equipment, but now let's talk about your editing process. Uh, I know we were kind of talking before the show, like you're not really booked by teams at this point so much. You kind of just like go out there and you get your footage. So I guess before we get into the editing process, tell me about like kind of your approach for getting content and posting it nowadays.
Yeah. So most of my stuff comes from Facebook. So these platforms, one of the big reasons why I switched to video too, is because these platforms, they're paying for reels. Facebook pays for reels, Instagram pays for reels, YouTube is now going to do it as well with shorts. So I was like, all right, well, let's just keep posting these, and Facebook has been paying pretty good. So I haven't really been taking teams because that allows me to go out and just capture whatever I think will do well, and then I don't have any deliverables, so I don't have people breathing down my neck like, hey, when can we get those videos? But that's another thing. Like I hadn't found a way to distribute videos either. Like with photos, that was easy, right? I could be like, all right, bang, bang, bang. Here's all your edited photos, and then with the video, because I don't shoot like the full matches like Solus does or whatever, which like you said are awesome, but I don't shoot that way. I just shoot for highlight clips. So I didn't know how to deliver video. So I was like, well, how do I even charge a team if I don't know what I'm going to have to give to you? But luckily I was in a position where I didn't even have to do that. So now I just try to go look and try to get the craziest stuff I can find, or I'd look for, who's going to dump the most paint, or who's going to run at each other, or who, what kind of crazy stuff we can find. So
Yeah, finding out that it's the platforms themselves that are paying you was kind of the most interesting thing to me. Like I would imagine that if anybody, like if it wasn't teams, then maybe it was like the leagues themselves that were covering for you.
yeah. So I do, when I do work at NXLs, I do work for the NXL, but I just, give them all the clips I get, and it's like, all right, here you guys go. Thanks for letting me be here. And that's worked out, pretty good. So it's a strange position to be in, but it's working out really cool. And I've been able to, just fly to events around the country and cover them, and it's been worth my while every time. So
Gotcha. Like, is that kind of a unique position among photographers that you're in, or is
right,
that
yes.
common? Or
No, it's not common yet. I mean, I tell them, keep posting. Like no one had been on the Facebook grind, and I didn't even know. Like I was just posting. That's the thing. You want to post your stuff to everything, because you don't know what the next big one will be. Next big platform, or um, anything like that. So who knew that Facebook would end up paying the most? Which is great. I mean, sure, I'll take it, but it's also, man, Facebook's tough. Facebook, like when you want to talk about comments, the comments on Facebook, sometimes, I have some friends getting banned and stuff, and I'm like, how are these guys commenting on my videos? How are these guys not banned, right? Like you look at
yeah,
what your friends say, because they'll say, oh, well, I got put in jail for this one, and you're like, okay. And then I read the paintball comments, and I'm like, what? How are you not in Facebook jail yourself? So
that's a whole other thing right there. So with your editing process, so for let's say like a typical event or a typical like let's say like one single match that you're shooting for let's say Houston Heat, and I know you said like you don't really shoot full matches, you're just kind of going for highlight clips, but I would assume that if you're there on the field with Houston Heat, you're probably staying there for the entire match. So for one match for the pros, like how much footage or how much like content do you usually have just raw after a match?
So one match, I'm not quite sure exactly, but at Chicago, I had about 4 hours of footage a day. That on average, that
Mm.
so you break it up by um, matches then too. But yeah, so I just I just go out there and I'll let it roll and see what shows up on the screen. So
Cool. And then after those 4 hours of raw footage, like after the entire like editing process, about how many clips does that leave you with?
it all depends. I don't, because sometimes like I'll be like super strict, like, all right, we're only going for bangers, or like, like one little thing will be off, be like, all right, we're gonna scrap that. So that's something I need to see, because so in my process, I'll go through and then I'll put all the footage on the timeline, and then I'll cut the clips that I think are good, and then throw them in a folder, and then I'll go back depending on the time crunch, and I'll make a couple, right? Like if it's the night of, I'll put a couple of reels out. So I'll find a good clip, or I like to have a clip in mind each day, right? Like all right, what's the banger clip, and then what's the next best clip. And so some days it's easy, like with a standoff, it was easy. And some days, you just get so tired and you forget everything. You're like, so, all right, well, what the heck did I even get today? So you want to go and make a couple clips a night. And like I said, I try to do 4 a day. But at events, it's you're up against, because you're exhausted, because you're standing all day, and then I get back, and you try to eat, but at the same time you're like, man, I really want to put these out like super quick at the same time. So it's a never ending battle of fighting sleep versus getting the content out.
Yeah, I bet, and especially just like that very quick turnaround, which I'm sure like everybody is just or at least people inside the scene, the paintball scene, are just constantly looking for highlight reels of like that day. So you have to get it up pretty quick after the day's matches, or even I've seen
Right.
some photographers, videographers, they'll post clips like midday sometimes.
Right. Well, see, when I was doing photos, I could just Wi-Fi off the camera and then put it on my phone, hit it with a quick edit and crop in Lightroom, and then put it up instantly. So like the match wouldn't even be over, and I'd have the photo up, which is super fun. Like in all other sports, that's the name of the game, right? Is speed. So like you go to a basketball game and like something will happen, and they'll have it up like right away. So I tried to do that because that was what I wanted to do. Is right. I wanted to do professional sports, not necessarily paintball. So I was like, all right, well, let's practice just being as fast as possible. Um, and it's like a fun little challenge. It's like a mini game in itself. Is how quick can I get this clip up? So with video, it takes a little bit more because you got to dump the card to the laptop. But I'll have my laptop with me, and depending on sometimes I'll be able to bang one out real quick. I will make clips during the day, but it just depends because I get a lot of FOMO. Like because if I'm not out there, crazy stuff could be happening. You never know. Like I'm trying to think of some recent ones I've missed, but none are coming to mind immediately. So
Probably something to do with NYX.
yeah, I do take a lot of breaks during NYX. Uh, just because there's sometimes you just need breaks, but I've learned that they quickly taught me that that is not the way to go, right? So with pod dumping and all that stuff, you got to be out there when they're on the field. They're always John, and you don't want to miss it. So
Yeah, for that 1 point a match that they win, you want to be sure you're capturing it, because you'll get like all the different pod dumps and all the shit talking between each other.
So CJ Cantor, who plays for NYX, he actually makes videos for GI as well. So he will go out there and he will play his matches, and then when his matches are over, he'll get his camera and go out there and film, and then he'll get some film from some other guys as well. And his edits are just incredible. Like he is so talented, and I'm just like, I couldn't imagine because I'm just exhausted from just shooting all day, and this man's out there putting it all on the line at a high level and running people down and then making videos, and I'm just like, that's a lot.
Yeah, I bet, man. But so he posts like his stuff like on the main GI sports page.
I think so. I think they're usually all like YouTube videos and stuff. So I know they're on there. I'll make sure to link you some, but he's very good.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't know that about CJ. That's really cool.
Yeah, when I first saw one, I was like, whoa, CJ made that? I was like, wow, this is nice. So yeah, well, I'll let you know which ones he's done.
Awesome. So you said you use, like, back when you were doing photos, you use Lightroom, but like now that you're doing videos primarily, what program do you use to edit? And like, do you have like kind of prepared settings that you import footage for depending on like the weather or the day?
Not really, not really. So I try to nail it all down in camera. So I use Premiere Pro, which is Adobe, Lightroom's Adobe, Photoshop's Adobe. So I had the full Adobe suite coming from photos, and I had learned basic Premiere, making the little clips I did with the photos. So I just stuck with it. I was like, all right, because I could do Final Cut or DaVinci, but I knew Premiere, so I've stuck with that so far. I don't, people have had a lot of problems with it crashing and such, but I haven't, I guess because I don't do like massive projects. I don't have like my timeline's not like, 6 different layers. So I haven't had too many issues. It's worked out pretty good. So yeah, so Premiere.
Gotcha. And so how long does like the editing process take? Let's say like you get your raw footage for the day and then you're looking for like one clip. So how long does it take for you to edit from down from that, raw footage that you get to like your finished post?
Not long. If I know where it is, like, cause if I can remember what clip I'm looking for, I'll have it pretty quick. So it takes like 4 to 5 minutes to dump a card to the computer. Okay, so we'll say 5 minutes for that. Then I'll have a pretty good idea during the day when it happened, so I'll be able to locate it. Give me a couple minutes there, and then you just cut it, and then I have a sequence made, which is the vertical sequence for reels and all that stuff. So then I'll put the vertical sequence on, I'll drag it on there, make sure it like fits properly, and then I have like a basic kind of color grade that I use. So I just slap that on there, and then make sure the exposure is good, and then export it. So hard to clip. If I just go real fast and I have a decent idea where it is, I could probably make one in about 10 minutes, maybe less.
Wow. Wow. And that's with like, kind of having to go track down that footage. I know that some people that post YouTube videos, like especially, video gamers on YouTube that take footage from their stream. I know of one YouTuber, he has like a hotkey that he has on his computer that anytime like a cool moment comes up, he'll just like hit that button, and what it'll do is it make like a blip or something on the audio track. That way when he's going back, he can just see like where the blips are and he can find it just like that. Have you ever seen that before, considered a way to implement that?
So Gary, Paintball Photography, the camera godfather out there at NXLs, he's been doing it, for 20 years or so. So I don't know if he does it still, but when he would get a banger photo, he would take a photo of the sky. So he would know, like, when scrolling through real quick, he'd see the photo of the sky. So he'd be like, all right, so it's right before that or whatever. So I was like, that's a pretty good way. So I need to implement something like that. And then I know, or I just need to take notes in my phone. Actually, I did that a couple of times. I started taking notes in my phone. Like I'd write the time down, and then like a brief what happened, and that seemed to work pretty good. As long as I remember to do it, I think that's the way.
Well, man, yeah, I think that would, at least for the YouTuber that I watch, it really cuts down his editing time so that he can focus more on like the actual editing process. So yeah, that's crazy that it only, takes that short of a time to, especially with the amount of views that you're getting on your platforms.
Right. And that's like, I know in gaming, the name of the game is speed. Like, say a new game comes out and you get a clip, you want to get it out right away. So I know that those guys have editors that'll make them like right as they happen too, which is it's just wild. But in everything, I guess speed is the name of the game. So
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So kind of like with your posting schedule, I know you say you post like 5 times a day or you're trying to get it to the 5 times a day. For your different like profiles, like TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, are you reusing the same clips on multiple platforms, or does each platform get like their own dedicated posts?
no, I thought about that. I was like, all right, so should I like post different clips on them? And I was like, I think excuse me, hang on. I think all the audiences are different. So I put the same clip up every time. I would definitely forget which ones I've used on what. I'd have to have a pretty in-depth spreadsheet if I was doing it that way, I think. So yeah, it'll just be the same one across all. So usually I do Instagram first, then Facebook, then YouTube, and then TikTok. That's just the order that I post. So just so I know. But I've been figuring out how to schedule them. So used to when you post them from the scheduler, like the quality wouldn't be as good. Like you had to post it from your phone, which was super frustrating. But I've been having an issue since Sunday on my Facebook app on my phone where the reels aren't showing up. And I could get to them and be able to post them from my phone, but they wouldn't show up as reels, so they wouldn't count towards my reels bonus, which is a pretty big problem. But then I started using the Creator Studio, and I uploaded some from the scheduler, and they actually looked really good. So that's gonna make things a lot easier, so that I can now just start scheduling posts, which I'm very excited about. I need that for Instagram though, because I don't think you can collaborate with someone, which is something I try to do on every post. I don't think you can collaborate with the scheduler, which is kind of a bummer. So
Yeah, I think Facebook did some sort of update this past week where, like, I know that it forced. I think it was when they were implementing like maybe two-factor authentication more or something like that. But I know I like got forced signed out of everything, and I had to sign back in on all of my devices. And
Right.
I kind of encountered a similar thing with like posting stuff for the podcast where there was some sort of switch over where like instead of just like opening like the business suite, like now you have to like go like interact as like the page profile or something like that. There's like an extra step or two in there now, and
Right.
it seems a little bit frustrating, but I'm glad that at least the post quality is working out good for you, so that you can plan everything out a lot better.
Yeah, that helps a lot. And then, like I said, I nailed down the times. I know when I want to do it. Something every 2 hours. Just keep it flowing. Just keep the content coming.
Well, so I guess let's see. We got another question in the chat here. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Greed. I'm assuming that's Jason. He says, here's it again. Yeah, he said, "Don't lie, Verb. You like shooting for whoever is winning."
That's true too. I tell them, whoever wins, I'll go eat with them. so I tell them, if you don't win, I'm not going to come eat with them. So
Awesome. So another question I guess I have, you said that Facebook is the one that's, I guess, paying you the most for your content. Are you finding, like, is it because you're getting the most views on Facebook, or how is that working exactly? Like, which platform gets you the most views, and which platform has the best, like, I guess, number of viewers to payment ratio?
Right. So Facebook definitely has a number of viewers to payment ratio. I'm thinking, I get a lot of views on Facebook, way more than Instagram right now. I'm trying to think how many. Let me look real quick. Let's see if I can pull it up super fast. TikTok gets a lot of views. And I don't even, people say you have to make your content for TikTok, but just the posting the videos, it's worked out pretty good. So like so far this month, I have 45 million views on Facebook. So and there's still like 2 weeks left on this month. So it goes in cycles, right? So it's showing me for this period, which started on September 19th. So it goes till October 20th. So I have 2 weeks left, and we have 45.7 million views there. Instagram, I think in the last month I have like 9 million. So it's not even close, right? Like Facebook is dominating, and then TikTok. Let's see if we can pull that up too. But I'm shocked. Like, I cannot believe the amount of views on Facebook. One thing is, though, Facebook makes it easy to share the posts, right? So that really helps out the reach. Because I'll share it when I post. I'll share it to a couple of groups and such, and that definitely increases the views quite a bit. And then so on TikTok, if it loads, oh wow, TikTok's crazy. It's still less though. In the past 28 days on TikTok, I have 36.4 million.
Jeez. Well, I can tell you, in the last 28 days on YouTube, I have 840 views. So that's
right. Yeah,
you've built up quite the following with yours.
Yeah, right. It still blows my mind. It still doesn't even feel real. Let me find my YouTube analytics. And the shorts on YouTube are going crazy as well. Let's see. Make this big real quick. Analytics. Last 28. Okay, it's not that crazy, but we're getting there. Because I don't have quite the following on YouTube yet. But in the last 28 days on YouTube, mainly shorts, is 5.1 million.
Cool, man. Yeah, I'm gonna have to come to you for some tips on how to kind of get my viewership out. I'd love to get the word spread on the podcast a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Consistency.
Oh yeah.
So we need to get some other stuff. You need to have some little clips, to.
I was thinking about that actually, because back on Alex Martinez episode, he made a little comment. Like, I was asking him, like, about his sponsors and like Planet Eclipse, because we were talking about the BKIT documentary, and I think one of the questions in the chat was like, what was his favorite like Eclipse gun? And he was like, "Oh yeah, I just love the CS2, but I think they have a new one coming out soon." I was like, "Okay, I gotta find a way to clip that or
Right.
something." 'Cause,
Right. But
that
I
would,
mean, that's the thing too, is you can just cut little clips from this too, from the
mm,
from the episodes, and just go and cut little 10-second clips, or uh, stuff like that. So
that'd be cool. Yeah, especially now knowing like it's that the attention span of my kids matches the attention span of the rest of the world now.
yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, the attention spans are way down. So
Mm. Yeah, for those of y'all listening who don't know, I actually am an elementary school music teacher, so I see kids age 4 years old up to 11. So yeah, it's a little bit scary knowing that now too.
right, right. Yeah, and that's the attention span I'm looking for, right? Like I know that you can't make anything too long these days, so you just gotta, quick hitters, and just keep like I said, just keep pumping them out, because you never know which one's going to go viral. Like I've had some go viral, and I'm just like, why is this? It just blows
Mm.
my mind. I'm just like, why this one?
Yeah, I love how like my reaction to all the attention spans. I'm like, oh god, my job is so much harder, and now your job is like, oh, I can. My job is so
Right.
much easier now.
Yeah, right,
Great.
right. Yeah, I don't have to actually edit, and I can just, just
Uh,
throw them out there, and
yeah, Brian Wolfe, everybody, part of the problem.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm absolutely contributing to it.
All right. So, Brian, we're getting toward the end of our show. Are there any Texas based teams, players, brands, or projects that have caught your attention lately? So, who in Texas, like if Texas doesn't know about them, who do they need to know about?
Oh man. Well, I feel like they know about most of them. Trying to think of who we need to know about. On the media side, everyone needs to know about Dylan Filmed It. He does some pretty awesome stuff. Very very creative guy, and big shout out to him. He says to keep making things, which is kind of what I've been plugging away here. Is you just keep making things. Um, I don't know. I think we got some cool stuff going on at Fit, but maybe most people definitely know about Fit. But this Mech X Ball thing, that's my biggest thing. Is I just love Mech X Ball. They do a draft. You get a cool jersey to wear for it. Based on a basketball team, they'll have 6 teams, so they'll have 6 different jerseys, and it's all skill levels, and they match up pretty well. Like they do a great job of matching up, so you're not playing anyone out of your skill level. So Mechanical X Ball, come play Mech X Ball. There's one in 2 weekends on Saturday, October 15th. So come and play, and come and shoot me. Come
October
and shoot me when
15th.
I can shoot back.
I think that's the weekend right after USXBL. So
It
I
is.
think,
It
and
is.
I think they're gonna be like they usually do. Like if you have leftover event paint, just come and shoot it
Right.
at this
Right.
event type deal.
Yep. Yep. That's BYOP as well. So I mean, you need to come play one of those things, because those things are just. I know it's a lot, but one of these days you got to come out, because it is absolutely a blast.
Yeah, I've got an EMAC in the closet that I bust out every now and then. I've just been focused so much on the tournament scene,
Right.
just like with the Titans right now. Like we're in first place for the GCS
Yeah.
series, and then we have if the stars align and Tribe gets knocked out in prelims, then we have a shot at taking the main series as well.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
it's just been a grind.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But EMEC is the best gun ever. For the price,
But yeah,
for what it is, EMEC is the best gun ever.
100%. I think the EMAC is probably the single biggest reason why paintball is growing currently.
It helps a lot. If you go, man, could you imagine? So if I think back to 1995, if I went out and my first rental gun was an EMEC, oh my gosh, that changes everything, right? Like, I mean, sure, I stuck around, but who knows who else would? Because you're not even at a disadvantage out there most of the time. So yeah, EMEC is the truth.
EMAC and then like 50 cal EMACs too. Like it's
Yep.
just blows my mind how accessible the game has become.
Yep. I think that I don't know if that's what I used when I first came back and played that 50 cal, but Yeah, I know they have those, and they're just fantastic.
For sure. All right, let's see. Do we have any more questions in the chat? Let's see. Um, let's see. This is from I'm assuming it's from Taylor Retro in the chat. It's a Retro T92. So his question is, what's your best, craziest paintball clip from a local spot you've seen at an event?
All right, so not local here, but we'll go to WCPPL out in California. And I know this, this Texas podcast, but man, those D5 and D4 kids were just crazy out there. Like they were just running at each other, and I was like, this is awesome. So I'm going back in a couple weekends. It's October 23rd or something like that, because they're just crazy out there. So I was like, this is. I told the guys, I was like, you guys need to get a little crazier out here. You guys play too good of paintball. You guys play too good zone control. I need you to run at each other a little bit and get a little wild for me. But yeah, and I had a clip of a guy getting shot in the nuts that did really good. And people are so mad. They're just commenting, blind fire, blind fire, blind fire. And I'm like, yeah, well, that doesn't matter in tournament paintball. The amount of blind shots we shoot in tournament paintball it's a lot. So it's always interesting to see what people think and that they don't know when it comes, because you hear when you're playing rec ball, it's like no blind fire, right, for good reasons, but on the tournament side, that is definitely not a rule. So
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm curious, like kind of another question that I just thought of, like you've traveled and shot for a couple of different scenes. Like you obviously hung around for a lot of the USXBLs. You started going to WC as well. You shoot the NXL events. Are there any other like regional or local scenes that you shoot for?
not really. I do all the XTPLs, which are all at Fit. They have a lot. They have a lot of 3-mans. They have the challengers and champions, and I love those because it's a lot of newer players in the 3-mans and such. So that's always really good to be able to cover that, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, look at this photo or video that I just got from that. And of course, I'm waiting for them to slip and fall up and do something goofy. But uh, well, there's some serious ones of them too. But like, so I would love to get out to like MVPS in Florida. I just want to compare. I just want to see how it all goes. Um, I want to feel out what each region's like and see the different styles. Just like I said, the difference between California and the Texas styles is very different. So um, I didn't make the last ICPL because I was playing that scenario this weekend, but I love the 10-man. I love the mechanical. I went out to Pittsburgh for that one this year, and that was very fun. So I'm going to try to make most of the ICPLs next year. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious as well to hear kind of like the regional differences, like between California, Texas, Tri-State League, um,
Right, right.
Seattle, like the Ninja Ball series, and Florida and all that. Like, yeah, it would be really cool. Have you ever made a NXL Europe event, or do you have any plans to?
No, but after watching that one this year, oh my goodness, that looked incredible. That venue, I was just blown away. I was like, what in the world? Like, I want to go there so bad. So it's on the list.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I that Paris event looked really cool, and I know that the UK events always look like just super nice fields and the venue and all that, and then you just have the rest of England in the background, and just really cool venues that you get to do.
Right. Yeah. I'm very excited to do that. And the different format is interesting too with the with the only the 4 pods. I'm curious to see how that plays, if it's, gets me faster paced stuff or something like that. So
That'd be interesting to see. All right. I think that does it for our time, Brian. Thank you so much
all
for
right.
coming on. Do you have any last shout outs or things you'd like to say before we sign off?
I definitely want to shout out Paintball Fit. That's kind of where I learned to do all this stuff, right? Like that has helped me along a lot. Just having such a great place to be able to go out and practice. At the end of the day, practice is important for all of us, and so that's how I've gotten to where I'm at. And I just kept practicing. So big shout out to them. Big shout out to the NXL for always bringing me on, and um, I don't know. Shout out to the wife for letting me do this, and yeah.
Cool, man. So thank you, Brian, for appearing on the show, and thank you all so much for tuning in. Be sure to go follow Brian. That's at Verbal on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Do you have any other platforms besides this four?
No, not yet.
All right. So, y'all, what other guests would you like to see on the show? Be sure to leave a comment down below. And while you're at it, hit the subscribe button. The show goes live weekly here on twitch.tv/inthepitspaintballpodcast. And recordings are posted to YouTube, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify the next day. I'd like to give some shout outs to my partners and sponsors, FU Athletics, Get That Shot, Paintball Kumite, and Compete. If I see you this weekend, for anybody that's going to USXBL, I actually have merchandise now. I've got some tech tees that I'm going through Compete with. You can order them, pre-order them by messaging me, or if you're at USXBL this weekend, you can order them directly from me or from Jell Stewart, who's going to be in his Compete booth. So y'all, I'll see you this weekend if you're at USXBL, and next week we will have episode 17 with Dylan Strickland, who is he's the leader of the Texas Titans, a really good friend of mine. Really excited to finally get Dylan on there. We tried to keep everybody waiting for that one, but it's finally time. All right, so Brian, thank you so much for your time, man. Have a good one.
Thank you. Have a great one.